us by singing one bhajan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. Eli tämä luento on nyt sitten englanniksi. Jos joku tarvitsee suomenkielistä käännöstä, niin se tapahtuu tuolla huoneessa.
Viereinen huone suomenkieliselle käännökselle, tai jos ainoastaan vain venäjänkielisiä tulee, niin mahdollisesti myös on saatavilla venäjänkielikäännös. So the lecture will be in English. Luento on englannin kielellä.
The words are there. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu
Tosiaan käännös täällä suomeksi tai venäjäksi.
Перевод лекции на русский язык будет в той комнате.
So I still try to find a translation to this. It's always good to know what we are singing. I do remember the page number. My dear Lord Chaitanya, please be merciful to me, because who can be more merciful than your Lordship within these three worlds? Your incarnation is just to reclaim the conditioned fallen souls, but I assure that you will not find a greater fallen soul than me. Therefore, my claim is first. My dear Lord Nityananda, you are always joyful in spiritual bliss. Since you always appear very happy, I have come to you because I am most unhappy. If you kindly put your glance over me, then I may also become happy. My dear Advaita Prabhu, husband of Sita, you are so kind. Please be merciful to me. If you are kind to me, naturally Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda will also be kind to me. O Swarup Damodar, personal secretary of Lord Chaitanya, all six Goswamis, O Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatan Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Raghunatha Das Goswami. O Lokanath Goswami, my beloved spiritual master, Narottam Das always prays for your mercy. O Shri Vasacharya, successor to the six Goswamis, please be merciful to me. Narottama Das always desires the company of Ramachandra Chakravarti. So today is Gaura Purnima festival, the appearance day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we have been singing his glories for a while. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this picture, he's in the middle. And he's also on our altar there. From your perspective on the right side, there are two deities. So on the right side, that's Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there. And Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's also known as Gauranga. I'll explain in a while why. So he's an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is responsible that we are all here today. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, they opened the doors of love of Godhead to everyone without discrimination of caste, creed, or race, etc., etc. So generally, there is no missionary work in Hinduism. You practically have to be born a Hindu to be a Hindu. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he changed everything. So, so he told everybody to become a guru, especially those who are born in Bharata Bhumi, in the land of India. They should spread transcendental knowledge to all over the world, and in this way make everybody's life beneficial. This is called para upakara. It's the highest welfare work that you can do to the human society. We have so many problems in this material world, but the underlying problem is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita: Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, birth, death, old age, and disease. And that's practically our existence in the material world. That is a problem. But usually people that are in the world, they are not so much concerned about this. And this is in a way another kind of problem. So not only gave he orders, but he also spread the art of devotion himself. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita has one verse: Jiva Nishtarite Prabhu Brahmana Deshe Deshe Apane Aswadi Bhakti Karela Prakashe. To deliver all fallen souls, the Lord traveled from country to country. He personally tasted the transcendental pleasure of the devotional service, and he simultaneously spread the cult of devotion everywhere. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also made one famous prediction, which we know: Priti Vitya Chayata Nagara Vikram Sarvatra Prachare Hoide Moranam. In every town and village, the chanting of my holy names will be heard. This is what our movement of Krishna consciousness has been trying to do for the last 50 years. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada brought the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the Western world and formed International Society for Krishna Consciousness. But we don't need to be falsely proud about it, but rather grateful that we have an opportunity to practice and taste the nectar of devotional service, and then try to give it to others as much as we can. Now uh, there are some Shastri quotes about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. Uh, Krishna is kind of he's known as a Tri Yuga Avatara. That means that he's appearing in 3 millenniums. But in a Vedic understanding, we have 4 millenniums. What about the fourth one? So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is said to be a hidden incarnation, because in Kali Yuga there's so much hypocrisy in this present age. So many gods are coming from here and there, and everybody wants to be God, and somebody claimed to be God. So Krishna understood this, and so in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he actually kept himself secret because of this reason. That those who come to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they don't take him very cheaply. I had one Indian friend in the past. He's from Hyderabad, and he told me that when he went to school, uh, he was taught at school that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just another saint. But when he came to ISKCON, it was emphasized that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a personality of Godhead. He's actually Krishna's incarnation. Bhagavatam, there's a famous verse, Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishna Sammapangastra Parashadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayagayachati Hi Sumedasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. And just recently, I have come across one scriptural writing called Chaitanya Upanishad, and this part of the scripture is actually from Atharva Veda, and it tells a little story that there is one sage called Pipalada, and he once had a sacrificial wood fuel, some wood blocks in his hand because he was performing sacrifices, of course. So he approached his spiritual master, Lord Brahma, and asked, "Oh Master, please explain what is auspicious for me." And Lord Brahma answered that austerity, brahmacharya, and controlling the mind is auspicious for you. Then after some time, when Pipalada has performed some austerities and mind control, he approached Lord Brahma again with another question. How will people of Kali Yuga, covered with sin, become liberated? Please explain uh, which deity to worship and which mantra to chant. And then Brahma spoke. There are several verses. I just take some selected verses out of that context. So Brahma said, I will tell you a secret. On the bank of Ganga, in the abode of Goloka called Navadvip, Govinda with two arms, the Mahapurusha, soul of all beings, the great soul, the great yogi, beyond the three gunas, possessing a spiritual form, assuming a golden complexion, will manifest bhakti to population. There are some verses concerning this. Then he continues, Gauranga, the one Lord, the form of all beings, the great soul, takes form of red, black, and white complexion in other yugas. Taking the form of Krishna Chaitanya, endowed with spiritual Shakti, he appears on earth in the form of a devotee. He bestows bhakti and is known through bhakti. I repeatedly offer respects to Krishna, who is known by Vedanta, who is Paramatma, the form of all consciousness, and who is Chaitanya Deva. Knowing Chaitanya, the primeval person, the source of all of the universe, the greatest, a person surpasses death. There is no other path for delivering the jivas. Chaitanya utters the Mula mantra consisting of the names Hari, Krishna, and Rama. The person who has affection for Chaitanya, who worships him and meditates upon him, becomes free of all sins. He becomes purified. He knows the truth. He becomes free of lamentation. He attains the goal, whereas others do not. So, in the spiritual world, in Krishna's abode, everybody serves Krishna. Even Balaram, who is also considered the first expansion of Krishna, he also serves Krishna. To perfect Krishna's pastimes, he becomes Krishna's towel, Krishna's shoes, or Krishna's bedstead. Even Mridanga which we play here in the kirtans, we call it Alaram Mridangam. So when Mahavishnu lies down on the coastal ocean, he just doesn't lie down there on the ocean. He has a bedstead. And what is he lying on? Ananta Shesha, the big 1,000-footed snake, Ananta Shesha. And Ananta Shesha is Balaram. And the topmost servants of Krishna are the gopis. They never want anything in return from their service. So Krishna has a kind of dilemma. What can I give them? Because you don't want anything. So the conclusion was that you can only increase your service to me. What else can I give you? And Radharani is the topmost of all the gopis, servants. So actually, only Krishna is the one who doesn't know what it means to serve him, to serve God. So that brings us to some reasons for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. So Krishna wanted to find out what his servants get out of their service. So Radharani is the topmost servant. So first, there are internal reasons and external reasons. So first of the internal reasons is that he wants to understand the position of Radharani. Krishna wants to understand the position of Radharani. Radharani is the topmost servant. And then he wants to understand his own position by accepting the mentality of Radharani. This is kind of deeply philosophical thinking now. He wants to understand himself through his own devotional service. And then the third one is to understand the bliss that Radharani experiences while serving him. So these all three go kind of hand in hand. And then there are external reasons why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when Krishna left this planet 5,000 years ago, he thought it would be wise to show some practical example how to become a devotee, how to serve him. And another reason is he wanted to bring the practice of Yuga Dharma to the people. Yuga Dharma means the process of religious practices. And there's a verse in Bhagavatam, Kritayadhyayato Vishnum Tretayam Yachato Mukhari Tvapare Paricharyayam Kalavtadhari Kirtanat. So whatever result was obtained in Satya Yuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, on Dwapara Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, in other words, deity worship, can be obtained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra or Hari Kirtan, glorifying the holy names of the Lord. And to emphasize this point, there's another verse, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatir Anyata. So in this age of Kali hypocrisy, there's no other way to reach the ultimate goal of life than to chant the holy names of the Lord. And it's emphasized 3 times to make the point clear. And the third reason, external reason, is to respond his devotees' request to appear in the material world. Advaita Acharya, who is this one with the beard, very old man. So he saw the growth of materialistic science in the society. So he was worried that people are not anymore interested about the real purpose of human life. So that's why he was requesting the Lord to appear. Now there are three main literatures talking about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mandala by Lord Chandas Thakur. It's a quite detailed information about Lord Krishna's pastimes and with a good dose of philosophy also. Then there's Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata by Vrindavandas Thakur. And what we are emphasizing here in the Krishna consciousness movement, there's Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he got a lot of help for his work, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, from the diaries of Murari Gupta and Swarup Damodar, who were Lord's intimate associates. They made some notes. Murari Gupta was collecting information from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's childhood pastimes, and and Swarup Damodar from his later pastimes, especially in Puri. Uh, and then Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is divided into three parts: Adi Lila, Madhya Lila, and Antya Lila. Adi Lila has lots of philosophy and a little bit of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's childhood pastimes. And Madhya Lila describes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's travelings, especially South India, and he also went to Puri at that time. But Antya Lila describes mainly about Puri pastimes and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's deep inner meditations in the end of his existence on this planet. So Chaitanya Charitamrita contains very scientific topics about Krishna consciousness, about knowledge of God, and Srila Prabhupada called it postgraduate study of Krishna consciousness. Bhagavad Gita is like a introductory study. Srimad Bhagavatam is a graduate study, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is postgraduate study. So Krishna, when he was in the world, he brought the storehouse of love of Godhead, but the contents were sealed. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared with his associates, the seal was broken and the contents were distributed widely to everyone. So distributing knowledge about God is like a principle in Krishna consciousness. Before the Lord appears, there's some other great personalities that appear first to pave the way for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some personalities like Madhavendra Puri, Yeshwara Puri, Advaita Acharya, Jagannath Mishra, Sachimata, and so on. So Advaita Acharya, we concentrate on him now a little bit. He had two residences in Mayapur and in Shantipur. So Mayapur is in a greater area called Navadvip. Navadvip is like 100 kilometers to the north from Kolkata in West Bengal. So Mayapur is there in Navadvip, and Shantipur is also kind of nearby. But Shantipur was more prominent. It was near to Ganga River. Uh, and as Advaita Acharya saw people in general being absorbed in mundane education and sinful activities, so he searched from the scriptures to find out how to worship the Lord and beg Him to appear. So he ended up with worshipping his little Shalakram Sila. It's a little stone like a deity form He served Salakram Shiva with tulsi leaves and Ganga water, and loudly cried out, "Oh Lord, please come, please come." So in this way, he awoke the Lord's attention. So we are talking about this particular age, Kali. People are very materialistic. Bhagavatam says, Payana Payusha Sotya Kalavasmin Yuge Jana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Yugadruta. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, are most, men almost always have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So here we are in the middle of Kali Yuga. We are understood to have these kind of qualities compared to the previous millenniums. So what can you give such a person? Not very difficult tasks to perform. So therefore, this Yuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan is very easy, simple, attractive, pleasant method for practicing spiritual life. So the story begins that there was one son of Brahmana, Jagannath Mishra from eastern Bengal. He came to Navadvip to study the Shastra under Nilambar Chakravarti. And when he completed his studies, Jagannath Mishra married Nilambar Chakravarti's daughter, who was Sachi Devi, and they remained in Navadvip. So Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, they had first of all 8 daughters, but for some will of providence, all the daughters they died very soon after taking birth. So there was no daughters left. But then they got a son called Vishvarupa. Uh, Vishvarupa further, when he grew up, he started to study along with by the teachings of Advaita Acharya, and ultimately he actually got so spiritually awakened that he took sannyas, renounced order of life, and suddenly just left home. But before he left, there was another personality that appeared. On a full moon night, there was very auspicious star constellation. But even though everything was so auspicious, there was still some inauspicious element, namely lunar eclipse. The moon got totally covered by Rahu. And because of this, the residents of Navadvip, they all jumped in the Ganga and they were just chanting loudly, Hari Hari, Hari Hari, Hari Hari,
Hari Hari.
So in this way, they were welcoming the next great personality that was coming in the family of Jagannath Mishra and Satsimata. He was called Vishwambar. So he was born in 1486 in this very day. So Nilambar Chakravarti, Jagannath Mishra's father-in-law, was very accomplished astrologer, that he could see that this is a very great personality that has just appeared. And because this new boy Vishwambar was so cute, and he was born actually under a neem tree. Uh, so that's why he was called Nimai. Neem is a very antiseptic plant or tree. Indian people traditionally take a branch of neem tree, for example, and brush their teeth with a neem stick, and you can eat neem leaves. They are quite bitter actually, but they keep them, for example, the mosquitoes away. They purify blood and so on. Whenever I go to Mayapur, I always buy a neem toothpaste. I don't use a neem stick. Uh, but somehow this little Nimai, he was always crying. So many other ladies from the village, they used to visit Sachi Devi and saw Nimai crying. But then they figured out that if they just chant some names of the Lord, like Hari Hari, then Nimai stopped crying. So, and also because Nimai appeared in a golden complexion, they started calling Nimai Gaura Hari. And because he was born from Sachi Devi, he was always, he was also called as Sachinandana. So that's why we sometimes chant kirtans. Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari, Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari, Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari, Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Also because he was so beautiful, having a golden complexion, he was also called Gaura Sundara. And one time when Nimai was still a very small boy, his parents used to decorate him with jewels. Then some two thieves happened to be nearby and they saw this little boy with the jewels, so they got an instant idea. Uh, we snatch this little boy and take him to our hiding place and steal the jewels. So nobody was around, and they took little Nimai and started running away. But because little Nimai is a personality of Godhead, he understands everything in the three worlds. So using his yoga maya, as these men were running, they thought they were running to their hiding place, but actually they ended up coming right there in Jagannath Mishra's house again. So they were very bewildered. And now they saw Jagannath Mishra there, so they just quickly, gently put Nimai back in the ground and started running away. Jagannath Mishra was wondering where is Nimai, so he was ready to offer some reward for returning, finding Nimai and returning, but this men were so scared. So, so they left the place immediately. This little boy Nimai was very intelligent. Gradually, he started school on the guidance of Kanacharya, Kangadas Pandit. And so he learned his first alphabets, and later on he became very expert in logic. So he was so intelligent that he actually started his own school at the age of 11, and therefore he was called Nimai Pandit. Pandit means a learned person, so he was known for his intelligence. But as these things sometimes go together, lo and behold, Krishna was very naughty, so Nimai was also very naughty. Uh, when a child is naughty, that's a sign of intelligence, right? So Nimai played tricks with all kinds of people around him, especially the brahmanas. He used to go to the Ganga, and the brahmanas were that they're peacefully chanting their Gayatri in Ganga. So Nimai sometimes he swam under the water and caught their brahmanas' feet and pulled, and the brahmanas fell in the water. And sometimes he took water in his mouth and spit it all out of the brahmanas. And also, when he got out of the water, he saw that the brahmanas had left their clothes on the bank of the river. So he switched the brahmanas' clothes with some ladies' saris. And when the brahmanas came out of the water, he saw some only ladies' saris for them. So in those days, uh, the main sporting activity was debating. Today, the main sport in India is of course cricket, but that day it was debating. So Nimai was very intelligent, and so all kinds of scholars they tried to avoid him. When they saw Nimai coming, they just turned the other way. But then Nimai started running towards them and said, "Hey, you have to debate me. Where are you going?" And, and nobody could feed Nimai. I mean, in a very short time, he was able to defeat with his arguments, and that wasn't enough for Nimai. Then he started displaying some counter arguments to defy his own arguments. And still, that wasn't enough. He still presented another set of counter arguments to counter the counter arguments and establish his original arguments as truth. So uh, especially the devotees, they became a little bit frustrated, and they were just praying that let this little Nimai become a Vaishnava so he can spread the Krishna consciousness very effectively. One time there was one very scholarly person, Keshava Kashmiri, coming to Navadvip, and all the scholars they heard about this. So became very afraid. So they suddenly started making excuses that they had to go and perform the ceremony for their parents. So they closed their schools and left Navadvip. But Nimai Pandit remained there with his students. And he was there one time with his students on the bank of Ganga, and Keshava Kashmiri came by, and they saw each other and greeted each other, introduced each other to one another. And this Keshava Kashmiri was also known as the Vijay Pandit. He wanted actually that title. Uh, Vijay Pandit means a learned person who has been victorious in all directions. Uh, Now he met Nimai Pandit. So Nimai Pandit asked, dear Keshav Kashmiri, you are such a learned person. Why wouldn't you glorify Ganga? So Keshava Kashmiri started reciting verses. They were not written before, just out of the blue from his mind he started saying that. Verse after verse. He recited some 100 verses. And Nimai Pandit expressed his astonishment that very nice. But I could actually find some faults in some of the verses. And the case of Kashmir was taken back. I composed so many verses, and my verses are perfect. How could you? How can you even remember a verse? But then Nimai recited one of the verses perfectly as Kesava Kashmiri had recited. And he pointed out this verse has 5 faults, and he very detailed point these faults. And Kesava Kashmiri became so shocked that he wasn't able to say anything, just some started coming from his mouth. Kesava Kashmiri, he was so learned because he is worshipping Saraswati Devi, the goddess of learning. So in that particular in that spot, he couldn't do anything. He just left the place very quickly and turned to Goddess Saraswati and asked what just happened, and did his worship, did his prayers. And the next night, Goddess Saraswati appeared to him, and he said, "You are a fool. This Nimai Pandit, he is my lord. So you better go back and surrender to him." So next thing is Kashmiri did as Mother Saraswati instructed him. So there are so many things to tell about our little Nimai Gaura Sundara. How much time do we have? We don't have so much time, so I quickly just go through a few things. So Nimai's or Vishwambar's brother left, and now his father also died, and then therefore some arrangement had to be done. So Vishwambar gets married, and then he goes to Istana to do some financial duties, and his wife Lakshmi Priya dies out of separation. Then he gets married again with Vishnu Priya, and then Nimai Pandit also meets his spiritual master Ishvara Puri. He came to Navadvip. Nimai Pandit Gaura Sundara cooks for him, and he gets very attracted. Ishvara Puri was very good character. Then he went, Gaura Sundara went to Gaya, and here there he met Ishvara Puri again and takes initiation from him, gets really ecstatic of chanting the holy names of Lord. Then he comes back and starts his main business, the Sankirtan movement. Uh, but there, so he arranges public harinams on the street, and then he also has his closed harinams, closed kirtans in Srivas Thakur's house. Srivas Thakur, you can see on the far right there. We have only a little time, so I try to explain these other personalities. So, middle one is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this is Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda is an incarnation of Balaram, whereas Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is incarnation of Krishna. Nityananda appeared in Ekachakra, and he came a little later to the scene, but he played a very important role in starting the Sankirtan movement. And on the Mahaprabhu's right side from our perspective is Kadadhar Pandit. So he's actually Radharani's incarnation. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Radharani, and Kadadhar Pandit is Radharani's incarnation. So Kadadhar Pandit is like a local boy from Navadvip. He was a childhood friend of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and many times in Gaudiya Math temples in the Navadvip area, especially, you can see that instead of we have Gaurnitai there on the altar, so Gaudiya Math temples might have Gaura Gadadhar. So these personalities with their other associates, they had nocturnal kirtans in Srivas Thakur's house, and then some local conservative ritualistic brahmanas, they were complaining to the local ruler who was a Muslim, Chand Kaji. So they complained that this will ruin all Hinduism, our Brahminical culture, this Sankirtan movement. So when the devotees went on Harinam, this Chandkaji came and grabbed the Mridanga and said, "No more Harinams." And he smashed the Mridanga on the ground, so the Mridanga broke. And the devotees went showed this broken Mridanga to Gaura Sundara. So then Gaura Sundara got very upset about this, and the next night, Chand Kaji, the Muslim ruler, saw a dream about Narasimhadev, and Narasimhadev, half man, half lion, was very angry. to Chandkaji. And the next night, Gaura Sundara also he collected a lot of devotees with their burning torches and the Sankirtan party to go to Chandkaji's house to complain about this incident. But now Chandkaji was very taken back, very afraid. So Gaura Sundar was aware of this, so he went very peacefully and had a nice talk with Chandkaji. And Chandkaji announced that from this day on, none of my family members will disturb Sankirtan movement anymore. So, in Maipur area, there is also samadhi for Chandkaji, this Muslim ruler. So everything went well in Navadvip. Everybody loved Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his Sankirtan movement until something terrible happened. Our Gaura Sundara, Nimai Pandit, he got an idea that he need to take sannyas, renounced order of life. And this was devastation for all the inhabitants of Navadvip. Sannyas means that he has to give up his family, he has to give up all kinds of worldly affairs, he has to shave up himself. Gaura Sundara had very beautiful long hair, and he was taking sannyas in a place called Katwa. And he met his sannyas guru Kesava Bharati. And at first, Kesava Bharati rejected Gaura Sundar's idea that you go back to Navadvip. You are such a young boy, still 24 years old. You have young wife and your mother is there. So you just go to Navadvip and ask their permission first. But then Kesava Bharati also understood that this Gaura Sundara, he is the Lord himself, so he must serve the way the Lord wants. So he called Gaura Sundara back and said, all right, I'll give you sannyas. Then Gaura Sundara was very happy, very jubilant. But Navadvip residents, some of his associates had come there, and they were broken-hearted. And also the barber, especially, was very broken-hearted. How can he shave Gaura Sundara? He has such a beautiful hair. But Gaura Sundara told him that you just do this one duty, and then you can quit your job as a barber and get another successful business. So this barber shaved Gaura Sundara's hair, and then he just quit his job, and then he became a Mithai Wala, Mishti Wala. He started selling sweets. That's good. So now Nimai Pandit Gaura Sundara gets another name, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai! And Sri Krishna Chaitanya means the Gauranga who revives the consciousness of all the Vaishnavas by making them understand that he is Krishna himself. So Sachidevi was also very grief-stricken, and she wanted, she requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to stay nearby. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left for Puri, where he had another phase of life, showing his ecstatic symptoms in Lord Jagannath Darshan, arranging Lord Jagannath's Ratha Yatra, cleansing Gunditsa temple. Then he went for South Indian tour. He went to Vrindavan. And there are so many things to tell. He pointed out 6 Kosmalis and asked them to go to Vrindavan and write many books and find or discover Krishna's pastime places. But we don't have so much time anymore, so I think I can end with the one verse. Nahyata paramo labho dehinam pramyatam iha kato vindeta paramam shantim nashyati samsritihi. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, but it relates to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message. Indeed, there is no higher possible gain for embodied souls forced to wander throughout the material world than the Supreme Lord's Sankirtan movement, by which one can attain the supreme peace and free oneself from the cycle of repeated birth and death. This is actually one verse after the Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishna verse, which talks about Lord Chaitanya. So this is talking about the Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. Well, now that we have talked about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance and some pastimes, so it is also known how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this planet. Anyway, just briefly explain how he exhibited his ecstasies in his later stage of life in Puri. One time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, they were walking somewhere, and suddenly Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started running very quickly, and his associates were wondering, where is he going, why is he running? They tried to catch up with him, but they barely made it. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had seen a sand dune somewhere in the distance and started running towards it, thinking that it's Govardhan Hill. So in this way, he's so much not like really living in this world anymore, but he's absorbed in the pastimes of Lord Krishna, and that's how he exhibited his Gura Brahmarani, feeling separation from Lord Krishna. And one day he entered a temple in Jagannath Puri called Gopinath. That was a Gopinath deity. And he went in the temple and he went inside the altar and he never came back. That's how he left this world. And it is said that there's a little golden mark on the knee or leg of this Tota Gopinath deity. It is said that that's where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered in the deity and left this world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki
Jai.
So we may not have time for any questions. Okay. All right, we can shift to the next part of the program.
His Grace Gopinath Prabhu ki Jai.